Welcome to the Armchair GM Podcast. Well, there it was. The battle for the last wild card position decided nothing, so to speak.
I don't think it ever was. I mean, the teams are so close, and there's so many games left, really. And Utah's winning their game. Last I checked, nothing's actually being decided anytime soon. But damn, that would have been really nice. A really nice win, especially in regulation. If we could have got it, but we didn't. So,
C'est la vie. That first goal against Wolf in shootout was disheartening.
oh, he didn't even move. I kind of
nothing.
I pulled one of these. I hung my head and was like, oh,
yeah.
It didn't even move. But
yeah, it was frustrating. Obviously, I'm not a Garland fan in any capacity. So the fact that it kind of went out that way really doesn't sit well with me at all. But
question for you.
Yeah.
Would you like Garland if he was on the Flames?
No.
No? Oh, interesting.
No. He acts too French.
He acts too French.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't like him. I don't like his look. I don't like his arrogance is a big one. And I honestly don't like the way he looks on the ice when he's skating around. I'm just never been a fan.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for joining, Tuck. Like always, it's nice to have you in here. And same with Johnny Gaudreau Forever. The last couple of shows you've been in, it's nice to have a few constant people coming in. Yeah, that shootout was a little disheartening, but honestly, the third period was way more disheartening than this shootout was to me. To be honest, I thought the Flames played a really good game right up until the third period, maybe just couple minutes and with left in the second period, but yeah, I mean, what can you say? Wolf played well. I don't think he played out of his mind like he usually does, but I think he played well. He gave the team a chance to win, and the team in front of him, like I was thinking halfway through the game, I'm gonna have to give Kadri credit. We're gonna have to give Huberdeau credit. I even changed into my Huberdeau jersey.
Wow.
I was like, I have to give all these guys credit, and not that I think anybody played specifically bad, honestly, other than Zary, which is unfortunate because anyone that watches the show knows Zary's, basically my favorite player on the team, and I thought he had a really, really rough game for most of it. But yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I'm actually surprised you didn't finally break out the 91 for this episode. Not gonna lie, I know you've got one in your drawer. You just don't like hanging it up.
No, I have an 88 jersey, who I didn't like as much as I don't like Kadri, but that's a Team Canada jersey, so I actually bring that out sometimes when Canada's playing and I'm actually watching. Yeah, and because he was Mangiapane was really, really good in that tournament that he played for Canada.
Yeah, absolutely. He wouldn't be. The competition was stellar.
Oli Mata was the best player on the other team, and he just got a $3.5 million contract. So
that's exactly what I said. The Flames did look like they're on the back-to-back. It looked like that break in the schedule hurt them more than anything. It took them a while to get started.
Yeah,
I thought they looked kind of lackluster and were not willing to take risks and just kind of holding back for the first 10 minutes of the game. They definitely didn't start on time, in my opinion. Obviously, they got rolling and looked pretty good. Kadri, I think, is about the only player for the Flames that looked like he was ready to go right from the start.
I agree with that. And
he had a ton of jump. He had a ton of jump on him, and it was good to see. It was fun to kind of watch him get energized. And he kind of allowed the team to feed off of him because as he kind of started going and kept going, the other players followed suit, and yeah, it was great.
Yeah, for sure. Again, like I thought that they all kind of sped up throughout the game. I agree with Tuck. Sharangovich wasn't good. I'm. It took this long, but I'm starting to get worried about Sharangovich. I'm a huge fan of the player. Like even when we first brought him in, um, I was all about him. Just having watched him in his rookie year in New Jersey, and now I'm getting a little worried, honestly, because sometimes he's on, and I think him and Frost have some really nice chemistry, but and Frost actually, you know what? I take that back. I think Frost and Kadri were both on time, but
Mhm.
but yeah, Sharon Govich was not very good, and
Mm.
uh, I think him and Frost have a little bit of chemistry, but I don't know how far it's going to go if Sharon Govich can end up, finishing off those passes that Frost is giving him, because he's giving him quite a few really nice passes.
He's a really creative player, Frost. That is like
Absolutely.
he doesn't give a shit. He'll try anything. He wants to get the puck towards the net, and he'll do whatever it takes to do so.
Yeah. How much of a suspension was Zary get? Um, I don't like. I think it was a dirty play. Um, I mean, he took the guy down. Obviously, the guy didn't have the
Yeah.
puck, um, and it was just kind of after everything happened. I don't think. I think that the penalty is enough for that one. I don't think that's a suspension whatsoever. I remember one of the guys on the panel saying that, I can't remember who it was, saying that it was really dirty and that it might have been a suspension worthy thing, but I'm not sure I agree with that. But if it is, maybe a game.
Uh,
You know what? I think that might be one of those, like give them a warning with a fine type of a thing.
yeah, I suppose. I don't think it's going to result in anything further personally.
Yeah.
Was it stupid? Sure. He did go after him fairly high, but he didn't. I mean, I think the result of Pedersen on the ice was more Pedersen dropping to his knees immediately as soon as he felt any sort of pressure on his body.
Mhm.
Um, I don't feel like that was necessarily caused by Zari in there. Um, Obviously, the hit that Pedersen gave, it was Kadri. I think it was Kadri, right? Yeah, I think it was Kadri. The hit he gave him was great. I had zero issue with the hit. I wish
So
we had more hits like that in the game, personally, but
yeah, I didn't
it
have
was.
any issues with that hit either, but I didn't think, I like that Zary came to his defense on that, but not I looked at that differently. I saw the guy behind Kadri grab his pants and drag him down. And that's what annoyed me. The actual hit that Pedersen laid on Kadri, I didn't
Mhm.
think that was bad whatsoever. I thought that was a great hit,
Right.
but I thought that I can't remember who it was, but one of the Canucks grabbed Kadri's pants or jersey and dragged him down from behind while he was being hit. And
Mhm.
that's what annoyed me about that. But I don't think any of that was like, maybe a penalty, but I don't think any of that's suspension worthy at all.
I don't either. I also don't understand why a player has to get jumped every time they make a hit. To me,
Yeah.
it's stupid. I mean, hitting's part of the game. You know,
And
whether the player, if it's something egregious, sure, jump the guy. But every fucking hit in the open ice needs to have somebody getting jumped. It's just, to me, it's gone too far. It's too
one of
much.
one of the things that bothered me too was what the broadcast was saying. I think it may have been Kelly that said, after Hughes got hit and one of the Canucks
Mm,
came to his defense, he even
mm,
I think it was Kelly that said, you know, I don't think that that Zeri should have done what Zeri did, but some of those players really have to defend your players when it's some of depending on what player it is, and because it's Hughes that you like that Canuck did the right thing, and I'm like, well, I mean, I'm not a Kadri fan, but if you do that for one player and that's okay, then you should be able to, your opinion shouldn't change on just depending on which player it is. It should be if that happens to your fourth liner, then you defend him. If it happens to your superstar, you defend him.
Yeah, I agree.
Depend on who it is.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't really like the commentary on the panel after the period talking about people going after Hughes either. Nobody was going after Hughes. Everything was a clean during the play hit. There was nothing going after him. You finish your checks. That's part of the game.
On Hughes,
yeah,
they were finishing it.
They did nothing wrong. Absolutely nothing wrong.
Nothing. So I agree with the panel though. They were targeting Hughes, absolutely, but there's nothing wrong with that. They weren't targeting Hughes with anything dirty. They were making sure that it was a clean play and then finishing Hughes, and that's fine.
That's right.
No problem.
You're supposed to target the other team's better players. That's how you get them off their game. That's how you make defenders. That's how you make defenders look over their shoulder when they're going for the puck in the corner in their own zone.
Yeah,
you give them that bit of hesitation.
Make sure you ask any questions you have. We haven't done any of these since the trade deadline, so if you have any questions about any trades, obviously the Flames didn't do anything, but if you have any questions about any trades at all or what we think about anything, let us know, and we'll read them. Talk. I don't see the squad making the playoffs. Brutal schedule remaining. St. Louis makes it. You don't think the Canucks make it or the Flames make it? You think St. Louis makes it? That's a take. I mean, I guess St. Louis is pretty close. Honestly, I think I'll be honest, when all of these teams are healthy, I think it's probably Canucks, Utah, Flames, St. Louis. That would be my order on how good the teams are when they're all healthy. Actually, you know what? Canucks without Miller, though, I'd probably, I'd maybe put them down a little bit more. I still can't believe they did that. Let's get rid of our best player in the middle of a playoff hunt. You're fucking retarded.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we know there was the issue in the locker room and all that fun stuff, but I mean, that's still a bad look in my opinion, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, my level of care for the Vancouver Canucks is pretty low, has been for a few decades, so
yeah.
I don't know if St. Louis is going to jump over. We got the game at hand. We're 2 points up on them. We're I mean, sure, we've got a tough schedule, but I mean, the fact that they were able to pick up, go 500 on that road trip, to me suggests that they're ready for a tough schedule.
Yeah,
I mean that was a brutal gauntlet of a road trip, and they get 6 out of 12 on that one. So I'm not doom and gloom yet. I'm more doom and gloom in the fact that if they do miss, they're going to just miss, which means we're not in the top 10 in picking, which means we lose that first, and it's just a shitty situation, right? Like we said a few episodes ago. Like we said a few episodes ago that if they're gonna miss, they might as well miss by a lot, right? This has just been it's typical Calgary Flames hockey, right? We've been watching this for at least 15 years, right?
Double that, 30.
Yeah, fair. Well, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I don't know why I include the 04 run into there, because they actually had no business even being in the playoffs to begin with. It was fun, but that was interesting.
20 years ago.
That was 21. Fuck.
Yeah.
Man, you're old, Dylan. Jesus.
Yeah, I remember where I was for that run, and I wasn't even watching. I was listening on the radio because I was my dad's cabin in the
back in my day, we used to have to watch the games on the radio.
Yeah.
Cabin in the woods.
Yeah. Husk. So Johnny, I'm curious. Follow up on that. What about Husk? Are you not a fan? Are you a fan? Are you disappointed with certain moves he's been making, or what's going on there? Um, yeah, St. Louis's schedule is easy. I'm I don't specifically buy strength of schedule for wins and losses. I sometimes I'll buy it, when I'm doing fantasy hockey, I'll look at the strength of schedule for like, which goalies I think certain players are going to face and score, but I don't usually count that as wins or losses. I think that strength, like anybody can beat anybody. Like fucking Anaheim blew out the Oilers the other day. You know what I mean? It just shit happens. I
Yeah.
don't really buy the strength of schedule thing that much.
I
But
don't. Looking at their schedule, I wouldn't necessarily call it an easy schedule either, right? They. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they got Pittsburgh, Minnesota, obviously the Ducks, Predators, Vancouver, Chicago, right? Nashville isn't great. And the Habs, but then get into April and they've got some games there: Detroit, Pittsburgh, Avalanche, Winnipeg, Oilers, Seattle, and Utah. So I mean, they've got a couple of games that are going to make or break their chances of even making it into the wild card to begin with. And
yeah,
games against people that they're battling with for that spot. So I think that'll be the saving grace potentially.
yeah, for sure. You don't like how he put Anderson and Sharkey in the shootout. So Anderson was 2 for 2 on the year, and Anderson has actually been like remarkably good in the shootout for the past 3 years. I
Mm.
don't mind that one. Sharon Govich has an absolutely ridiculously good shot. But I agree with you. He's not been using it right. He didn't use it in the shootout. And I honestly, watching that shootout attempt, I'm curious on what you think here, Chris, but watching Sharon Govich's shootout attempt, I thought he went backwards once. I thought he
Mm.
swooped in and kind of skated backwards, and I thought that could have been called. Um, he's just
I
not.
don't I don't think that was the case, but you're
No,
absolutely right. Like he's not Sharon Govich. He's not shooting the puck. The fact that he tried to go around the goalie in that situation just kind of tells you everything you need to know about where his mindset is at the moment. Like he's
yeah,
not shooting the puck. He's got a hell of a shot when he's using it. If there's ever been a time for one of his quick wristers, that would have been it.
yeah,
Between the pad and the glove, like he does that shot so well, but not this year.
yeah. I would have used Kadri and Coronado, so it's like I would have done the same thing, Tuck. Um,
Mhm.
I'll say it again. Not a Kadri fan, but sometimes you go with who's hot, and quite frankly, like Kadri on the on a breakaway is probably Kadri when he's alone with a goalie isn't the problem with Kadri. Kadri
Right.
when all of his players are in the zone and he refuses to use them is the problem with Kadri. But if he's one on one with the goalie all day, he should have been in there.
Yep.
And
Well,
Coronado, I mean, there isn't enough of a book on him for opposing goalies, so I absolutely would have put him in fourth instead
yeah,
of sharing
sure.
Govich. Yeah,
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Kadri proved on his breakaway goal that he deserved a shot to try and deke the goalie out again. Right.
yeah, I totally agree, 100%.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, all in all, I mean, the Flames are pretty close to making the playoffs. We're still what 20 games or something like that in. Um, I'm about to look it up here, but
Yeah,
I
I mean, we're still in the spot right now, right? Because Vancouver won't jump over us because we have a better winning percentage,
we have a
and we're tied for points, right?
than we do. Utah, yeah, Utah. Last I checked, was winning their game, so they're going to climb closer to us. I kind of like how many teams are in this race right now. It makes for some entertaining hockey, to be honest, and entertaining storylines. I want to talk to everybody who's listening right now and get your guys' opinions on this. But 3-on-3, how do you feel about 3-on-3 hockey? Because personally, I don't think it's hockey. I don't think it's in the spirit of the game. They fucking turn around 70 times. They wait and wait and wait and wait and wait and wait and turn around and go backwards, and it drives me fucking crazy. I even 4-on-4 is better, and I'm not a huge 4-on-4 guy, but man, the 3-on-3 is killing me. And I don't just mean that because we're losing, because we lost today. I just mean that in general. I think 3-on-3 is garbage.
I've been saying ever since they brought it into the league, the current overtime format. I'm a fan of letting them play one more period. If it stays a tie, you each get 1 point. You walk away. Done. Like I've never been a fan of it. I think it's ridiculously difficult for goaltenders to be faced in a situation like that. And it's frankly, it's boring, right? You do get a few really exciting plays, but for the most part, it's watching them do circles in the neutral zone.
Yeah.
And to me, it's boring hockey. I have no patience for it, but I don't see it changing anytime soon because the league seems to absolutely love it. I feel the same way about the shootout. I don't like the shootout in that situation whatsoever. I think let them play one more period. If there's not a winner, there's not a winner.
I agree.
And I also still believe that if you lose in a shootout or an overtime, you don't get any fucking points. This whole getting a point just for participating in the game is bullshit.
There needs to be more incentive for winning in regulation. My opinion, there needs to be more incentive for winning in regulation. And that is, to me, you get 2 points for a regulation win. You get 1 point for an overtime shootout loss. You get 0 points for any loss. Or sorry, you get 1 point for an overtime shootout win, and you get 0 points for any loss. That way, you're
exactly.
not rewarding losing. You're penalizing it taking extra time to win a game, and you're rewarding winning a game in the allotted time.
I don't know. I would have to push back against the only 1 point in overtime or shootout. I still think a win's a win and it's worth the 2 points personally. But I don't think if you lose the game in any capacity, I don't care if it's a shootout, overtime, or in regulation, I don't think you get a point. It forces you to try and win the game.
It forces you to push. However, I do feel like that would also force teams, or not force, but it would cause a lot of teams to not try very hard to score in overtime and just roll the dice in a shootout, which frustrates the living bejesus out of me. I don't think I've ever said living bejesus in my life, but here we are.
Really toning it down for the after show. Well done, Dylan.
Yeah. Keep it PG for the kids in
did I not set the rating properly when I set up the live? My bad.
Yeah. Anyways,
what do you think of this idea from Tuck?
They should use the 3-2-1 point system like they used at the Four Nations. I know that the players really enjoy that. I have to look more into it. So what is it? 3 for a win, 2 for a overtime win? 1 for an
Yeah.
overtime loss and 0 for a regulation loss?
Yeah.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, you get 3 points if you win in regulation, 2 if you win in overtime, 1 if you lose in overtime, and 0 if you lose in regulation.
I don't mind that. I think it should, like, if we're gonna do that, 3-2-0-0, like, we're still handing out a point for losing. You know what I mean? I'm just not
Mhm.
a fan of that.
Yeah, I
Um,
tend to agree. I mean, I think if you are gonna give a point for losing, you need to make the games worth 3 points, but, to me, it just screws the history books on standings and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm
I see
still
what
like,
you mean. Yeah.
I I'm I'm old, right? I don't like rewarding anybody for losing, just for like, these are professionals. You play
Yeah.
to win. You don't play to lose.
Yeah.
You play to win. If you win, you get points. If you lose, you don't get points. You go home. But
Agreed.
then you give
So
them
I
you
wanna
give them
ask you
that,
something.
then the PA is going to want to play different rules for playoffs where they get, well, it was overtime, so they have to do another game or something stupid. Can't give these guys an inch; she'll take a mile.
Right. So, going back to the game that we just watched, so Huberto obviously scores the game tying goal and then the go ahead goal.
Mhm.
No, if it weren't for Huberto, we wouldn't have gotten a point out of that game. But I'm curious how you feel about his overall game tonight. And while
I
you
thought it was
answer,
good.
I have to plug my computer in, so I'll listen.
Eh,
I just have to go get the cord. Yeah,
eh, I thought it was a good game by him. I think he was physical and battling hard in the corners. He was attempting to make plays, but was having a difficult time with people receiving his passes yet again, which I think is weird. By this stage as well, as far as players playing with him for so long, they should be able to figure it out by now. I thought he was
yeah,
really creative in a couple of his plays. There was there was one kicking pass that he made right through the Canuck player's legs that I thought was pretty brilliant. Just he kicked it right to the stick. I thought that was pretty awesome. And then
yeah.
obviously that setup from Rooney on the shorthanded goal was pretty awesome. I think just a stroke of luck that even went in. To be honest, the way the puck was on edge like that, and he swatted, and I was surprised it went in. I think he was even almost a bit surprised it went in. But it's good on him. I thought it was a really good productive game from him. I've been
Good.
really happy with this game for most of this season, to be honest.
Yeah, there's been a couple off games, and I what I like. I wasn't asking because I don't think he had a good game. I do think he
Mhm.
had a good game. Um, even though Kadri only scored the 1 goal, I thought Kadri had a much better game than Huberto.
Yeah.
But Huberto still had a good game. And I want to just touch on something you said there. Players having a hard time capturing his passes. I thought over the past few years, Zeri has been the only player who has really caught his passes with any any sort of consistency.
Mhm.
Sometimes players will catch his passes here and there. Sharon Govich did it for a little bit last year, but Zeri did it a lot when they played
Yeah.
together. And other than that, there's been nobody. Even Kadri, they've been playing well together, but Huberto's been scoring the goals, right? And to me, the reason that Huberto has been scoring so many goals, the reason why he had to change his game is because he doesn't have any players playing with him who read his plays, can read his passes. And I think
Mhm.
we've had that issue for a while with him, obviously. Um, and it's unfortunate. I'd like to see somebody who can, but again, I think he had a great game, and even when he has good games, sometimes it doesn't show because
Yeah.
he's making great passes, and the player who's trying to capture the passes watching the pass instead of making the play after the pass, if you know what I mean. They're
Yeah.
busy being like, oh wow, that's an amazing pass, instead of
Yeah.
actually doing something about it.
Well, you even see that from people making the pass, right? They pass it and they want to watch and see where it goes, where it ends up. Huberto doesn't do that. He already knows it's a great pass right off his stick. He doesn't give a shit. It's up to you now. I'm gonna go get involved in the play over here. And
Yeah,
I
get in
think
front of
that's
the net, which he's been
yeah,
doing and scoring from a lot, which has been great.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
How long until a Yegor buyout becomes a serious conversation? 25 games into next season without improvement, 40 games, trade deadline. I'll let you handle this one, and then I'll come later. I think
Oh boy. I think it's too early to have that conversation, to be honest. I think he's still gonna figure it out. I personally think he's gonna get out of his funk. That could be wishful thinking just because I really like the player. Um, but in all honesty, it's a business, so I get it. I think if anything, they will discuss trade before a buyout. I think like there's in my opinion, there's no reason to do the buyout. I think he's still a valuable player and would hold some sort of return. Obviously, it's getting less and less as the games go by, but I think a trade would be more likely and or walking at free agency more so than a buyout.
I mean, walking in free agency is still a couple years away.
It is, yeah.
He hasn't even started his new contract, has he?
It's just checking.
Yeah, check that. I think it starts next year, although I could be wrong. It could have started this year. So my opinion, you buy out players when you're contending and you need their money. The Flames have 18 plus million dollars worth of cap space right now. And
Yeah.
the cap is going up. There is absolutely no reason to buy out Yegor Sharangovich. There's no reason to even trade him, honestly, because you're trading him low at this point.
Mhm.
I agree with you. I think he's gonna get, he's gonna figure it out. But if he doesn't, like, quite frankly, in 2 years, 5.75, I think it is gonna be third liner money. That's
Yeah.
what we're looking at, right? Um,
Yeah.
I see absolutely no reason to do anything about it unless if the Flames are, if Zeri comes out next year and looks like an absolute stud, if Coronado's on a fucking 40 goal pace, if we've signed a free agent that's amazing, or maybe two, if Parekh comes out, looks like a stud number one defenseman right away, and somehow we've used all of the money that we have and we need, then you think about buying them out. But we're not in a situation as a team where a buyout makes any sense for any player.
Yeah.
That's my
Yeah.
thought. I do understand where you're coming from, though, 3SE, and thanks for coming and joining the show. I definitely understand where you're coming from because Yegor hasn't been very good this year at all, like not even close. And I'm a Yegor Sharangovich fan, but I agree with you. Like he hasn't been good, but a buyout doesn't make sense. A trade, even for a mid-round pick, makes more sense than a buyout. Uh,
Yeah.
Scratching him makes more sense than a buyout. Waiving him makes more sense than a buyout. Murray Edwards isn't going to let Yegor Sharangovich be a buyout right now. He's just not going to
I don't think
let
so.
it.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I mean, you are right. His contract doesn't start until next season, so it's a 5 year after that point. I think given given his career so far, he's only a couple of years into the league, right? And like 5 years, I guess. Sorry, not a couple. But I think it's way too early to have that conversation with him, in my opinion.
Mhm.
He's 26 years old. He's having a bad year. He had the injury early on. It looked like he was fighting to keep up with the play when he first got back. Now he, in my opinion, kind of looks a bit lazy right now. He doesn't really look like he's putting forth a lot of effort, um, which is unfortunate because I know, or at least I feel like he's not that player. But I think
Last year he
he's going to come back, right? I think he's going to be I think he'll be a piece for this team moving forward. I don't think that we're going to get to the buyout. At least I certainly hope. Mm.
Yeah. And here's the thing, like what did he scored 30 goals last year?
Yeah,
Something like that. 5.5 mil,
31.
575. That's 20 goal player. Now he's not going to get 20 goals this year, but
Mhm.
I feel like 20 goals is a pretty reachable um no, pretty reachable goal for Yegor Sharangovich over the next 2, 3, 4 years, 5 years while he's a part of the Flames. Um and that deal, like, it doesn't hamper us right now. I don't know. I'm gonna
No, it
wait a
doesn't
couple more
hamper us
years
either.
before not maybe not. Okay, so 3SE said, how long until Yegor becomes a Yegor buyout becomes a conversation. So the buyout, I don't think is going to become a serious conversation for the team, but I think Yegor being a problem could be 25 to 40 games into next season if he hasn't started to produce. You know, then the team might start talking about it being a problem, but they won't think about a buyout. They might think about moving him, waiving him, scratching
Yeah,
him, something, but they're not going to think about like
yeah.
they're. I really don't think they're going to think about buying him out anytime soon.
I don't think so. And to give a bit of context, I mean, the contract he's about to roll into is basically exactly what Backlund just came out of, right? And
Yeah,
if you want to talk about similar goal production to what Sharon Govich is doing currently, is what we were getting out of Backlund as far as points. Obviously, Backlund has a lot of other uses than scoring goals.
yeah,
I get that 100%. But so does Sharon Govich when he's on penalty kill. He does well at that. And you're
yeah,
also looking at a different cap space era with Backlund's contract. So as far as percentage of the cap, I think Sharon Govich for when this starts out next year and moving forward, it would be way less of a percentage. So I really don't think it's an issue personally. I I, I really don't. If the halfway or three quarters of the way through next year, it's not looking good. Okay, then you add him in a package at the trade deadline when you're trying to get rid of somebody, and for an extra piece, that's fine. But I don't think buyout's going to be the route for the Flames on Igor.
I don't either. Good question though. I like
Mhm.
questions that cause conversation like that. Anyone
Yeah.
that's watching, feel free to ask some questions. We're probably gonna stay on another 10, 15 minutes or so, I'd say. And thanks for joining. Make sure you hit subscribe on YouTube and check us out on Spotify and Apple and all that kind of stuff. Thanks for
Yep.
joining. Yeah, I
How good was that play coming near the end of the second period by Ball with his stick with a streaking Canuck player coming in on a breakaway?
so yeah, Kevin Ball, the way that he straight up hooks players and doesn't take penalties, I don't know how. It's
Right.
amazing how Kevin
Yep.
Ball goes about it. I don't know if anyone that remembers, I know the exact play you're talking about. Guy was on a semi breakaway, I want to say partial break, and ball straight up was draped over the back of him and reached around him and
Yeah.
poked the puck away from him and didn't take a penalty. It fucking amazing. The
Like
way he plays defense
he
without
didn't
taking
even
penalties.
impede his movement. Like
No,
like I don't. It makes no sense how he's able to do that.
yeah,
But I love watching
absolutely
him do
amazing.
it. It's just, it really is great.
Yeah, I really like Ball, man.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm
I'm a huge fan.
the more I watch him, no, there was a time where I was like, Kevin Ball is gonna be just another, big player who's a sixth defenseman, seventh defenseman.
Yeah.
But now he's looking like he could legitimately be a fourth, third defenseman.
Mhm.
And not just on this team, on any team. If he plays
Yeah.
defense like that, and he continues to develop, in 2 or 3 years he could, and I'm sorry for saying this because it's fucking sacrilegious. This jersey up here is turned the wrong way. That's a Chris Tanev jersey. If he keeps playing the way he's playing, Kevin Ball, he will draw comparisons.
Yeah. I mean, in some ways, for sure. I mean, I mean, he's proving to be a bit of a warrior as well. Clearly not to the same level as
No,
Tannen, but
some comparisons.
yeah, some comparisons. And then that play near the end of the third where he broke his stick, and I'm like, oh god, like that's his only move. That's all he's got. He's got this 35-foot stick. Right?
Yeah.
Somebody get this man a stick. Make it two of them.
Right?
Make it two of them. Tape them together. Let them go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to shout out a play by Kevin Rooney. You know the play I'm talking about?
Mhm.
So
I believe so.
Huberdeau is going to get all of the credit for scoring the shorthanded goal on that play, but that play, Huberdeau read the play properly on the shorthanded goal, and he rushed
Into
towards the
the
net. He saw what Rooney was doing. He rushed towards the net. He knew when to go and how fast to go, and it was perfect. Huberdeau deserves a lot of credit. Rooney, the way that he chipped the puck around the boards and got around the defending player,
Mhm.
and then skirted towards the puck real quick. I want to give him some credit because Kevin Rooney doesn't get a lot of props from this fan base, deservedly so. I don't think he's a great player. I think he's
Mm,
a penalty kill specialist at best, and most
right.
of the time he's not even really that. But that play was incredible, and the pass and the patience to wait until it was too late for Lankinen to make a good play on it.
Mhm.
Good on Kevin Rooney.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he forced his will around him, right? Like, he just simply did not give up on the puck.
Yeah.
It was really nice. And even, Uyghur with the stretch pass up to him, right? Like, that
Uh,
whole play just really developed well.
yeah, on that one, it was Uyghur, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there was 3 players that made that happen, and they all played a very key, crucial role.
Yeah.
And
And
it was nice.
the other goal, actually the Kadri goal, the stretch pass from Anderson on the Kadri goal. Again, that was an
Mm,
amazing goal by Kadri, but
for that
that
pass.
stretch pass by Anderson was
Yeah.
Giordano-ish.
I was gonna say Carlson. I can't believe you didn't say Carlson. I know you love the
It
man.
it did kinda look like a John Carlson. Yeah, it did. I know what you're trying to say, I'm just trying to dodge it.
John Carlson. Yes. Yeah,
That's who you meant,
that's right.
right?
That's 100%. We'll
Henrik
go with that.
Carlson, like the goalie that the Flames had for a couple of years?
Yeah, 'cause you don't remember some of those. He thought it was Mike Smith.
Yeah. Mike Smith, oh, look, the puck's coming at me from all the way across the ice. I'm just going to not move and then glare at my defender for not moving. Anyways.
Oh, I lost it in the stands. What?
Aloha Snack Bar. Thank you for joining. We actually answered this question earlier, but we'll go real quick. How long do you think Zary gets suspended for? I don't think Zary gets suspended unless, I don't know if there's been an announcement from the league anytime recently, but I don't think that Zary gets suspended for that. I think at max it's going to be a not even a 5K fine, but like, I don't know, maybe a 3K fine or a 2K fine or something like that.
The
Yeah.
league is going to give him $5,000 for everybody having the conversation. That's how it's going to go.
Yeah. Is Bax okay? I don't know how many people saw the play. Did you see the play, Chris?
Yeah, it was fairly innocent, but you could tell that something happened during that play.
I
Right?
don't think you would have been able to see it if it wasn't zoomed in slow motion,
Yeah.
right? Like he just kind of glanced off. Backlund was going at Mancini. I don't even know the guy's first name, but Backlund was going in to hit Mancini, and he kind of glanced off of him a little bit and spun around because Mancini kind of like half dodged the hit, and Backlund kind of like spun off of him in a weird way. And as he was spinning, you could see he kind of winced. If I had to guess, I'd say it's like a tweaked abdominal muscle of some sort. I have no idea, but that would be my guess. I don't think there's a, I think that he might miss a game or two. I don't think it's a serious thing at all.
Yeah, I'm hoping not. Obviously, he's pretty key. I don't. Yeah, 1 maybe 2 games, hopefully at most, or he guts it out and he plays the next game. I think it all depends on how he feels when he wakes up tomorrow, right? I think it's just one of those things. He tweaked his lower back or something, right? Like it's hard to say. I mean, I hope he's all right. Obviously,
it looked like the type of thing that happens to me when I'm like walking down the street and somebody yells hello at me, and I'm like, my side.
threw my back out.
I
wish I was in better shape. Oh well, have another beer. Yeah. Cheers.
Here's that. Buy Canadian Pilsner from Saskatchewan. Just saying.
I still think that's pretty funny. Like you gotta buy Canadian liquor. Like I only drink craft beer, so it is Canadian. That's
most of the beer I buy is from Saskatchewan or from somewhere in BC. Most of it, if not all of it.
I don't know why do you have so much against Alberta? You hop right over us to buy Pilsner.
Well, I live in BC.
I know.
So I buy the beer from here because it's cheaper. And it's tasty, and I like Pilsner, so fuck you.
Wow. Jeez. Personal about your green beer.
I also, you know what? I like Grizzly Paw. When I'm in Canmore visiting my sister, I go to the brewery sometimes.
They have a really good brewery tour. If anybody ever is looking for it, it used to be better. They got themselves in a lot of trouble from the Liquor Control Board, I guess. So they had to change up the format a tad bit, which is a shame because it was really good before.
When I went to total fucking sidebar here, but when I went to Amsterdam to the Heineken brewery, the only thing I could think of the whole time I was there, as I was getting drunker and drunker and drunker, is none of this would be legal in Canada. And that was in 2007.
Nice.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that are illegal here.
Yeah.
You know what? Which shouldn't be legal is how Kadri undressed the goalie in that first goal. That was something nice.
That was beautiful. And just for anyone who might be watching who doesn't know, Chris and I are both well spoken about how quite frankly we don't like Kadri's play most of the time, and the fact that we're giving him so many props means he played a really fucking good game, and not just offensively, but in general, he played a really good game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he was all over it.
props on him.
Yeah, again, like we said at the beginning of the show, he's one of the only players that actually started on time.
Him and Frost.
Yeah.
We didn't really talk about Frost much, but Morgan Frost, to me, man, he dipsy doodles and he doesn't lose the puck when he does it. A lot of players get overzealous with it. He doesn't get overzealous with it, and he makes tape to tape passes. And I think if Sharangovich can ever get his shot back, I really think that that connection, because Sharangovich catches Frost's really beautiful passes. And it's just a matter of finishing them. Know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. He's super creative. I really like watching him. He's also a bit deadly on the power play because of that creativeness, right?
Yeah.
You don't know what direction he's going to go once he gets the puck, which, if you can keep the defenders guessing, then you're just going to keep the puck that much longer. And as long as he can get it to somebody that's willing to shoot the puck, Igor, in theory, it should yield good results.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, that is rare coming from us. I'm guessing you're talking about the Kadri comments from today. Yeah, it is pretty rare coming from us. We're both not Kadri fans at all.
I'll give him credit when it's due, and tonight it was definitely due.
It was definitely
For
due
sure.
tonight.
Yeah.
Definitely due tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Wolf too. I think Wolf had a good game, not his best game, but I think even though we're so fucking early into Wolf's career,
Mhm.
we're already taking his good games for granted. His really good games, we're taking those for granted because he had a good game tonight, and I'm already thinking that wasn't his game. But he still had a good game. It just wasn't a Wolf game. And that's an amazing sign, isn't it?
That is a good sign. He had an amazing overtime for sure.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of what happened to him during the game was for the middle 30 of the game, most of the play was in the Canuck zone, and he wasn't rewarded with pucks on net for himself to keep him fresh and warm. And as goalies say, right, it's super difficult to keep yourself in the game when you're not in the action regularly. I think he did. I mean, I'm not saying he had a bad game by any stretch. He definitely had a good game, but he was unreal in the overtime. Like there was no reason for there to even be a shootout.
Now, I want to say he had an unreal game, but an unreal overtime, but two of those pucks beat him and hit the post.
One post for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it two?
It was. I'm pretty sure it was two. One for sure. I think maybe two. And again, like whatever. The guy's amazing. And
I mean, they may have beat him, but they weren't. Those didn't even count as shots on
no,
net.
they don't
So
count as shots on goal. And
so
in the third period, at one point, it was 16-1 shots on net.
right.
So
Yeah.
Wolf had a good game. Wolf had a great game.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just
for sure.
wasn't really a Wolf game to me. And taking that for granted already in his young career, man.
Three quarters of the way through season one. God damn it, Wolf.
Yeah.
Get your shit back together.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was good. He was really good. Coronado was pretty invisible for a lot of the game tonight. There was a couple of plays where you could really see his effort and trying to get to a puck, but aside from those couple of plays, in and around the puck, he was not super noticeable.
So I'll kind of
Same
agree
as
with you
Zary.
on that. I don't think he had a great game offensively. He
Right.
wasn't when he had the puck, he didn't have the opportunity to shoot. He didn't shoot. That's his biggest weapon is his shot, obviously. He
Mhm.
didn't even really touch the puck much in the offensive zone. But
No.
but I'll also agree with you in the fact that he worked really hard. I noticed a lot, actually. I noticed him working hard a lot. Um, on the boards, on in the corners, reading passes, deflecting plays. Like
Yeah.
he's working hard, and I think, especially for a young player who is so early in his career, Matt Coronado, if he can keep working as hard as he's working and prove for the foreseeable future that he is the Bison, then I think that his shot will be available more often, and he will work
Mhm.
himself into those spots to make his shot available more often. Over the next few years, he'll have more creative players like Perek,
Yeah.
for instance, on the ice with him. Um, and I think that he will get those goals.
Are you suggesting that Backlund and Coleman are holding him back because they're not having a good offensive year?
I'm suggesting, well, he's playing with Kadri and Huberdeau
Yeah, right.
most.
He is now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he has been for a couple months now. I'm pretty sure. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, I do
Yeah.
think, and it's weird because you'd think, because we've been talking about Huberdeau not being able to find somebody who can receive his passes. You'd think Coronado would be that guy. This might be a hot take, but I want to see them switch sides, especially on offensive zone draws. I want to see Coronado go to the left side on offensive zone draws and Huberto on the right side for the one timer option,
Yeah.
for the quicker shot.
For Coronado's one-time option, not Huberto's.
Well, I mean, Huberto scored a one timer today and has scored a few. And
True.
Coronado can also pass the puck. But yes, mostly for Coronado's, not
Yeah.
even for the one timer, but for the pass reception, making the pass reception easier
Right.
for Coronado from Huberto.
Yeah, that's fair. I I mean it's not a half bad idea to start out the play on the face off, right? And then switch
Yeah,
back.
that's more what I mean. And on the
Yeah.
power play too. Although
Right.
I'd like to see again, I don't think Zeri had a good game today, but I'd like to see Zeri on that power play, on power play one, because I think that he's one of our more creative players as well. I'd like to see him and Coronado develop power play chemistry together because they're the future of the team.
Yeah, but I mean, so power play
And
one,
Frost.
you're going Frost, Huberto, Kadri, Coronado, and Zari, and then who plays defense?
No
We
way.
need some. We need some create. Yeah, we need some creativity
Well,
on the second set too.
yeah, and that's the problem, right? Is
Mhm.
we don't have, as much as I like Uyghur, and I'm a huge Rasmus Anderson fan, we don't have a legit power play quarterback.
That's
Um,
true.
and I also think that I think this team would be better off long term without Kadri. As much as he played awesome tonight, and he's had some really great games lately. Um, I think long term this team would be better off without Kadri because we need to start giving the Zeris and the Coronados and the Frosts, more reps with the high leverage offensive situations, if you know what I
Mhm.
mean.
Yep.
And that's not going to happen while Kadri's here.
True.
At
Sure.
least
And
not for a
obviously,
couple of years until Kadri starts swirling down the toilet and being the 37-year-old he's about to be.
yeah, and that's that's kind of the inevitable end result of that contract is the last 3 years are going to be like, oh God, what's going on?
That's part of the reason I want to get rid of him so bad. Part of the reason.
Yeah. No, and I get that, right? Obviously with the cap going up, the 7 mil's not going to be that big of a deal as far as how he's playing currently. It's fine, but year 5, 6, and 7 of that 7-year contract, it starts to look a little bit gross when the obvious decline happens, like every other player that's ever played the game.
Except for Alex Ovechkin. Just saying.
Right.
Right.
Right. He seems to have gotten better, which is weird. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah.
So yeah, is this the off season where you get rid of him? I know where your head's at. Is there anybody still watching that wants to answer that? Is this the off season to get rid of Kadri? And what do you think possible return could possibly be for 91 going somewhere?
So this is my opinion changed on this recently, actually.
Hmm.
Because I thought we were going to get rid of Kadri this offseason. It doesn't seem like Kadri wants to go to the States. Kadri did not waive his no trade. Reportedly, Kadri did not waive his no trade clause for Colorado. Colorado was after him this trade deadline, and Kadri did not want to go to Colorado, where he won a cup with that core 3 years ago.
Kadri also had a chance to re-sign with Colorado, and he ended up in Calgary. I feel like there's something else going on there.
You think so?
Yes.
Okay. I mean,
Because they reported that he was given an offer. I don't know what the offer was, and that he turned it down, and then came to Calgary shortly after that.
I feel like Brad offered him more and the no move clause. But again,
Yeah.
I also think part of it too with Kadri, and it's both a good and a bad thing, but I think that he thinks he's the man and he wants to be the man. I think he wants to be the man is a good thing, but he thinks he's the man is the problem, if you know what I mean.
Well, I mean, let's be honest, Dylan. Currently, he is the man.
He wants
right? He is the man here, right? That's the thing. Like whether we like it or not, he is the man here. Like there's no denying that.
He's the man on a very middling team. He would not be the man on any competitive, like really competitive cup contending team.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. Like, obviously it all comes down to him and waiving that clause, which, thanks, Brad. Fuck's sake, really screwed us out of another scenario. It's gonna still haunt us for the next couple of years. It's all gonna come down to him, and if the reports are correct, where he wouldn't waive to go to Colorado, that's not a good sign. Does he waive to go to Toronto in 2 years or something like that?
Maybe. I'm curious, Johnny Gaudreau forever. Which scorers would you like to add around him? Who's available? Are you suggesting we go out and get Mitch Marner, who's not really a scorer, but he's a great facilitator, and he's a guy who can put up 90 points no problem? Is that the type of guy you'd like us to go get, or who do you think is a good fit with Nazem Kadri to take the Flames to a more competitive? What's that?
Yes, I want Mitch Marner on my team.
I actually wouldn't mind it.
Yeah.
I like Mitch Marner as a player. I think he gets shit on from from the media out east.
Yeah.
But if you
Yeah,
look at his
he's in a
playoff
bad
stats, he's not
situation
a
with the
bad
hockey
player.
market there.
What's that? Sorry.
He's in a bad situation with the hockey market, the media there, right?
Yeah.
I feel bad for him.
Yeah. There's no reason that Sharangovich should be taking that shot in the shootout. Not one. So we talked about this earlier. The Flames season, if they don't make the playoffs, is a colossal loss on the biggest sellers in the market in the decade. Yeah. Sean Scott, thanks for joining us. We've kind of talked about both of these things, but we'll revisit it. I would have liked to have seen Zary Coronado. I like that Anderson shot because he's got a great shootout record. But there's a few, even maybe Coleman before Sharangovich. If Sharangovich is feeling it, absolutely put him in the shootout. But Sharangovich hasn't been feeling it for 9 months. So he shouldn't be shooting in the shootout. I totally agree with you. And you also said how much are you going to sign Marner for and how long?
He's 27 now, coming off of 10.9. It's not going to be a pretty one. You know,
You're going to have to give him 13.
Yeah, it's going to be 12 for sure.
You're going to have to give him 13, I think. I've heard that he's not interested in any Canadian market, even though he's a Canadian guy. He's interested in Toronto or a small American market, and that's it, which is bizarre to me because those are two completely opposite things. He's from the Toronto area though, so kind of makes sense he might want to stay there. But I truly think that Brad lets him walk because Brad's a fucking moron. But I'd give him.
Can you imagine?
I'd give him.
Could you imagine letting a player like that walk? Like I know Brad fucked up in Calgary, but like Toronto would eat him alive in that situation.
Yeah, and he didn't trade him. I mean, he had the opportunity to trade him because Carolina offered them Rantanen for Marner straight up.
Right.
According to multiple insiders, both Frank and Elliot, I believe, both said that. And I would have taken. I'd rather have Rantanen than Marner, but Rantanen's no longer available. I would sign Marner for 13 times 7. You can't do 8, which is good. But 13 times 7, I'd probably do that. That takes him to 34, I think.
Yeah.
That's perfect. We have the money. He's gonna be a great player for 95% of that contract. You know, maybe the 34-year-old season he might not be great, but he's the most. I hate to use this this comparison, rest in peace, but he is the most like Johnny Gaudreau of any player in the league.
Well, as far as creativity, you mean, and just making shit happen.
Style, creativity, lethal shot that he doesn't use quite enough. Entering the zone, power play entries, all that stuff. Mitch Marner is the most like Johnny Gaudreau in the league, in my opinion. He just plays right wing, not left wing.
Yeah, that's fair. The one nice thing that we also have going for us is our UFA situation. You know, the only thing we have coming to an end as far as UFA goes is, you know, Mantha, Rooney, Kirkland. You know, obviously, I would think they're going to want to do something with Kirkland potentially. You know, Barry and Hanley, and obviously Vladar is going to be a piece there too. But we don't have a lot of huge re-signs to do there. We do have some RFAs that are going to be kind of key. You know, obviously, you know, in Morgan Frost and Coronado and Zary and, you know, Klapka in a much lesser degree. So we are going to
Wolf.
we are going to be putting some more money out there for next year for those guys.
There's going to be lots of extension money handed out for sure.
Mhm.
I believe when those extensions start, especially like Wolf's extension specifically starts,
Mhm.
when if we get Wolf extended, that's when I believe both Backlund and Coleman expire the next year. So we kind of have a time frame that makes sense as our young players start getting paid. You know, we have money now. We're going to have more money in the future. Even if we sign a guy to a ridiculous contract like Marner, let's say, we're still going to have guys expiring and the cap is going to inflate. So I think we'll be okay.
Right. Yeah, the Wolf comes off the same time as Backlund and Lombard. Coleman's one more year,
Okay.
which is
Coleman's also, I think he had a full no move or a full no trade before, and I think it's a modified now. I think he's at 8 teams he can be
it's
traded
at 8.
to. Um,
Yeah.
and I think it grows. There's some really weird contracts out there, contract clauses out there, but I think it grows in the future. I could be wrong on that one.
10 team for both this year and next year.
Okay, I thought it was 8. Either way, I mean, Coleman, you'd think he'd put Tampa and Dallas on his. This is totally my own thoughts. You'd think he'd put Tampa and Dallas on his trade list, and then other contenders. Nobody's
Right.
gonna ask for Coleman, who's not a contender. So I feel like that's one of those trades you could make because whoever's asking for him is going to be the same team that he would be willing to go to. That's the way I
Yeah.
look at it, anyways. They're
Yeah.
like
Fair.
Kadri's going to be a really hard fucking trade. Huberdeau is going to be an impossible trade. But I think because there's an amount of teams that that Coleman can accept, I think that
Yeah.
that he's going to choose ones that would want him. And yeah.
Yeah.
The problem with Marner is that he is a facilitator first and foremost. Do you want two facilitators like Huber and Marner on the top line? Maybe if we think Coronado is a 40 goal scorer, I don't think Huberdeau and Marner should be on. They should be on the same power play for sure. I don't think the same line. I think it. I think Huber. I really like how Huberdeau's been playing, but I think Huberdeau should be a second liner. He makes first liner money, but Huberdeau at this stage is a second line player. Kadri at this stage is a second line player. We just don't have first line players. Marner comes in, we have a first line player.
Yeah, and then we get to see what we have in our system as far as potential future first line players.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
When it comes to Coronado as well, Coronado and Marner are both straight up right wingers. They don't play left. But I feel like they'd try it for sure. Like Huskar or whoever would try putting one of them on the opposite side, or maybe putting Zeri on the left side, right? Who knows? But I do. I think, especially because we lack right wingers, like actual right wingers. I do, or maybe Sharon Govich plays with him. Who knows? You know, somebody who can take passes and score. And I don't know. It's no different than trying to find a line mate for Johnny Gaudreau. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Which don't get me wrong, that took a really long fucking time. But
Yeah,
I mean,
it
we
did.
tried what Frolik, Neil, Brower. We tried a lot.
You know what? I thought the Brower play was going to make it, but
I honestly did too. I thought Neil was a great signing at the time because I was like, this guy can pot 30 goals in his sleep. And then he ended up just going to sleep instead.
yeah, I the scary part about what you're saying here, Sean, is the fact that he's probably what do we think he's going to end the season with? He's at 48 points in 64 games. Like he's going to get like 60 points, and he's involved in 40%. And that's literally the issue with the Flames right now is they're not scoring goals.
Yeah.
And so when Huberdeau is your number one goal scorer, that's a problem, right?
Also, I just want to point
Yeah.
out Huberdeau was a line 2 power play 1 guy. Huberdeau played with Duclair and Bennett.
Yeah.
5-on-5 for the vast majority of that season. And then played on the first power play unit with Barkov and whoever the fuck else was on that power Ekblad, whoever the fuck else was on that power play at the time. But he played with Bennett and Duclair 5-on-5 for the vast majority of that season. So he was a second line player. Don't get me wrong, he played lots before with Barkov. A lot. And they had some chemistry. But when he played his best, when he got his best point totals, opposing players, the opposing team's best defensemen were playing against different lines. They were like, Uyghur and Anderson were out there against Barkov's line, not Huberdeau's line, 5-on-5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Bennett, so I haven't seen much of this in Huberdeau's game since he came here. I've seen it a couple times, honestly, with Pospisil. And one thing I really wish we had was somebody who wasn't Huberdeau that went to the net, because I find if you go back and look at Huberdeau's playmaking highlights from his 115 point season where he was the highest scoring left winger in league history, I believe. He had the most assists in league history out of left wingers. If you go back and you look at those plays, a lot of them he was using Bennett as a pylon. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, Bennett was standing in front of the net and with his stick out, and Duclair as well. They were standing in front of the net with their sticks out, and Huberdeau was just banking the puck in off of their stick. We don't have Kadri's supposed to be this guy who goes to the net. He only goes to the net when he has the puck. He doesn't go to the net when he doesn't have the puck.
Yeah.
And that's one of the problems. If Kadri went to the net when he didn't have the puck, Huberdeau would be banking pucks off him too. And that's why he worked well for a little bit with Pospisil. And I don't know why that's not a thing anymore, but it's not.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a thing anymore because obviously Pospisil shouldn't be on the first line. Like,
yeah.
But you're absolutely right. If Kadri would have done what we all thought Kadri was going to do when we got here, is be the agitator, be the guy in front of the net, getting in the grill of the goaltender, and just being that player, being a center, if you will, in that position. I mean, he just simply hasn't at all. He's now decided that he's the perimeter guy, and so now it's Huberdeau that's in front of the net, and he can't make the plays and make those things happen.
Okay. I want to challenge anyone who's watching, Sean, Scott, Johnny Gaudreau Forever, Tuxedo, whoever else is watching right now. I want to challenge you to find 3 plays and share them to us. 3 plays. Put them on our Facebook wall, whatever. Where Kadri was an agitator to anybody except the referees as a Calgary Flame. The only people he pisses off are the refs and me and Chris. Other than that, he doesn't piss anyone off. So I want you to show me where he's an
No,
agitator.
that's
'Cause
not
he's
true. He pissed off Anderson that one game.
Oh, yeah. So his own players.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, credit where it's due. Kadri had a couple bad games recently, but for the most part, in the last month and a half, he's been a really good player for us. But the warts still exist, and they're glaring. And as he gets older, they're going to be worse, and his production is going to go down. And we need to do something about it before it's too late, given he'll waive his clause.
Warts expand. That's just the issue.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
You're so right. The problem is the organization views Kadri as the person who can make controlled entries with the puck. He's just not viewed as what he was on better teams like the Leafs and Avs. And that's the thing. When he's playing behind Austin Matthews, I guess he didn't really play behind Matthews that much, but when he played behind Nathan McKinnon, or when McKinnon was hurt and he was playing with Rantanen and the other team's defense was crashing Rantanen because he's one of the best players in the league, Kadri had the space. Kadri doesn't have the space now. He's still getting points. And again, he's played well lately, but no, I agree with you. And he hasn't been an agitator for years. And I think, I kind of think that the reason he got driven out of Toronto is because he was so much of an agitator that he kind of got the reputation as a guy who just took a bad penalty all the time. He doesn't take many bad penalties all the time anymore, but that's because he's completely shifted his game and now he doesn't try and piss people off anymore. He's just trying to score, which is great. Calgary needs players who want to score, but he's not the agitator that I remember Brad saying it when we acquired him. This is going to be the guy, maybe not quite like Tkachuk, but kind of like Tkachuk. He's not anything like Tkachuk. He's not pissing anyone off. He's just sitting there and complaining to the refs where the other team goes and scores.
Yeah. And he was ran out of Toronto because he was the agitator, but he was also an idiot when he was doing it, right? He was doing it just in the worst possible time. That, hey, let's start out the playoffs. Boom, they're gone for 3 games. Good idea, Kadri. That's why he was ran out of there, because he was out of control, right? Like he was 1 or 2 of those situations or plays away from being kicked out of the league.
So he was like Tkachuk was before. I don't know if you remember this. This is one of the only things that Brad did that I really appreciated. Brad brought Keith Tkachuk in, and they had a meeting, both of them, with Matthew, and told him that if you keep crossing the line, it's going to be a problem. You have to learn how to ride it a lot better. Yeah. And then Matthew spent maybe a couple months not being an agitator, but relearning how to be an agitator without crossing the line. And don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, he still crosses the line, but he doesn't cross the line nearly as much as he used to. And he didn't even do that in his last couple years in Calgary because of that meeting. And Kadri didn't have one of those meetings when he was younger. So now he's just become a guy who's not an agitator because it's either that or be out of the league for him.
Yeah, in Kadri's defense, he doesn't have a father like Pete Kachuk
And
that can
almost
pull him
all
to
of
the side.
yeah.
Yeah, and be like, "Hey, you little prick, you got to knock this off, right?" Because he gets it. He understands the game, and he can explain it to him in the way that he'll understand.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good defense.
Yeah.
Honestly, good defense.
Mhm.
So I'm curious about this. Maybe the play in the first year of Marner. So if Calgary signs Marner, if you sign him, Kadri, Huberdeau, and Marner, not the long-term fit. The only issue is who's coming up. So I don't know if Marner and well, actually, now that Huberdeau has been scoring, being more of a sniper and a rebound guy, I think that might actually work better. Especially since he's a natural left winger and Marner's a natural right winger. So that may
Mhm.
work. Who knows?
Right.
I
And
wouldn't
then,
mind
so who do
it.
you put in
Not a
between?
long-term fit because all those guys are going to be, 35 in no time. Kadri's
I
already.
think I think if you end up putting Marner and Huberdeau together, that's when you finally put Zari in the middle and put him in between those guys and see what he can do.
Yeah, especially if
'Cause then you've
if
got your
you're
guy in front of the net and drives the net, and
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, no, I
it
don't
is
mind that. I don't mind, and
solving the
I
world's
don't mind
problems. Well done, Sean.
yeah, nice. Well, I'd like to thank we've been here fucking half an hour longer than we expected. I'd like to thank everybody for coming in and thank you to our regulars, Johnny and Tuck for coming in like always, and thank you to Sean Scott for joining us and
Keep the
3SE
combo
and
going.
Aloha Snack Bro. Thank you to everyone for coming in and joining us today. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you hit us up on Twitter or X, whatever the fuck you want to call it, if you're a part of that, at armchairgm_pod. Feel free to interact with me on Reddit, Armchair GM Podcast. You'll see me all over the Flame subreddit. Follow us on Facebook. We will be on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all your podcast catchers for the next couple weeks at least. There might be something coming where we have to get off of that, but we're not sure. Make sure you download our episodes if you can and follow us and interact with us. All of that stuff helps a lot. And thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks once again, and as always, go Flames.
Thanks for coming,
Cheers,
Sean.
everyone.
Thanks for coming. Glad you enjoyed it.